Hello and welcome to today's European SharePoint Office 365 and Azure Community webinar. My name is Shane and I am delighted to be joined by Karoliina Kettukari, an MVP from Meltlake in Finland. Remember to join our conversation about today's webinar on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @EuropeanSP and our hashtag is ESPC20. Don't forget to check out the Resource Center. This is updated daily with the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. Simply visit sharepointeurope.com and click the content link at the top. Welcome to Teams Week, where we have a variety of blogs, ebooks, webinars, all free and all online. Check out sharepointeurope.com for full details and all upcoming webinars. After the webinar, we will have a questions and answers session. Type any questions you have in the questions window. Questions will be selected and answered at the end and during the presentation. This webinar will be recorded and added to the Resource Center, where you'll be notified by email when it is available. And now I'm going to pass you over to our webinar presenter, Karoliina Kettukari. My apologies. Hello, Karoliina.
Hello, thank you, Shane. Yeah, it's Kettukari, very good pronunciation. And just let me share my screen. You should now see the awesome Teams Week.
Sure, take it away.
Okay, awesome. Welcome everyone. It's awesome to be here at the European SharePoint Azure and Conference Teams Week. I should maybe also turn on my camera so you can see me as well. Okay, so in this session, I will talk about Intranet, and I'm not going to talk about SharePoint, but I am going to talk about Intranet in Teams. And as it's 1st of December, by the way, happy December. I hope you'd enjoy your day by far. And I think let's get down to business. So my name is Karoliina Kettukari, and I'm from Finland, as Shane said. I'm a Microsoft MVP in Office Apps and Services, and I'm working as Modern Work and Microsoft 365 lead in Meltlake in Finland. And we are a daughter company to another technology organization called Futurize. And my passion is to help companies to work in modern ways with Microsoft 365 tools, especially with Teams. And I always love to do projects when I see, for example, development in internal communications, internal processes, and so that we can gain better employee experience and maybe also happier employees in the end. And I'm very active in Twitter and in LinkedIn, so of course feel free to add me as a contact in there as well. But let's begin. And before we get down to business actually, I would like to think for a while that what actually does the word Intranet bring to your mind? Because I've done quite many Intranet projects in my life. I've started with SharePoint on premises, of course. Back in, I think the first SharePoint version I touched was 2007. Then, of course, came 2010, 2013, then came SharePoint Online, and yeah, now it's maybe Teams. And in almost every project, I will have some interviews with the end users. And always the things the end users say about Intranet are not very good. Many of the end users say that Intranet is a graveyard for information. There is too much information in the Intranet, and the information is not relevant to the user. There may be 5 different versions or pages about one same official document, and the end user don't know which of the 5 pages is the most updated, the most recent one. And then we have communication departments. And of course, communication departments love their intranets because they usually own the concept of the internet. And maybe they will get some help from the HR, from other departments. But there is a certain gap between the concept owners, so the communication department, and the end users who should be reading the internet, utilizing its content. And this gap becomes very visible when we are planning on updating our internet. For example, if we at the moment still have SharePoint on premises and we want to move to the cloud, or another current use case is that we are already in the cloud, but we have SharePoint, classic SharePoint in the cloud, and we want to make it modern. For example, so that we are able to utilize SharePoint with our mobile phones as well. And when these kind of internet projects start, they usually start that we and the communications department, and maybe also someone from the IT. We sit down or sit down remotely nowadays, and we open a computer. We go to a browser, so maybe Edge, maybe Chrome, and we go to SharePoint. But where are our users actually? The users, they maybe don't even have desktop computers all day. They maybe are using mostly their mobile phones. They may be on the go. They maybe are working remotely. And the user actually are working in Teams. So they are chatting in Teams. They have meetings in Teams. They do plans, task management in Teams. They are collaborating on documents, filling up forms, having meetings in Teams. And why should we plan something based on use cases we don't from the last decade? So why should we plan our intranets based on the desktop computer SharePoint browser view when our users actually are in Teams? And this kind of thing was the baseline of one of my customer projects, where was this one Finnish organization who had a classic SharePoint. It was online, but it was classic, so no access with mobile phones, etc. And they wanted to do a modern internet renewal project. And we started it with a very basic, with a very traditional way. So we started thinking about modern SharePoint pages, etc. And then we stopped and started thinking things in a bit different way. And we started thinking, what if we should actually build our internet in Teams? Cool. Okay. And by the way, as Shane said, if you have any questions, you can write those in the chat, and I will try to answer those during my presentation as well. So this is an actual screenshot of my customer's previous internet. And the customer was Liikenneturva. It's also a difficult Finnish word, but they are Finnish Road Safety Council. And basically it means that they are working all around Finland, which is a very large country with very few people in it. And that they are doing very mobile work. They are on the go all the time. They have mobile phones, they have tablets, iPads, etc. But they have no mobile devices. So I mean, they couldn't go to their internet with their mobile phones, of course. And they had this very basic, very classic SharePoint internet. There was nothing wrong with it per se, but it was just old-fashioned. It wasn't technically updated. And they had the strong will to start utilizing the whole Microsoft 365 cloud. So they had licenses, E3 licenses for every employee in their organization, but they actually weren't using those. They were having some meetings in Teams. They still had Skype at the moment as well. But our project group, we thought about this for a while. And then we decided to be a little advanced, and we decided to start thinking things in a more modern way. So not starting the Intranet project with yet another SharePoint Intranet, but started thinking the actual use cases. When I'm an employee who is on the go, and I want to see what are the top news in our Intranet, what are the top news in our company? How can I take my mobile phone and super quickly access to the relevant news or relevant information I want to find? And the answer into this question was to start building the Intranet with Microsoft Teams. And this is actually the final product. And of course, this picture was taken about a year ago. So it was taken when they first published the new Teams Intranet. So it might be they still have, they now have, for example, a bit different channels, a bit different tabs, but it's a real screenshot from their organization. And the thing is, of course, this is in Finnish, and I don't think none of you maybe understands Finnish. So what I've done in here is that I have built a demo Intranet in Teams for you, in English, of course. And we will go through these pretty similar channels, pretty similar settings that was in this customer project. And I will also give some tips, best practices about how you can also start thinking Intranet in a bit different way. And just one word of advice. This model is very suitable for organizations about maybe up to 500 employees, maybe even up to 1,000 employees. But if you are a bigger organization, there will be more hierarchy, there will be more complexity, there is more bureaucracy, and then you might want to think something in a bit different way. But I think there will be something for everyone, not depending on your organization size. So let's go and check my demo. Awesome. Okay. Welcome to our Intranet in Teams. And first of all, when you are thinking about creating a Intranet channel or Intranet team, sorry, in your Teams, it's good to know that you can go to join or create a team and go to create a team, starting from scratch, of course, in this case, and choosing organization-wide team. And only global administrators are able to create organization-wide teams. So if you do not see this alternative in here, then you are not a global admin in your Teams environment. It's possible to create maximum of 5 organization-wide teams at the moment. So you should maybe think about before you will create organization-wide teams, because you can only have 5 of those. And we also have some limits, because at the moment, if you create a normal team in Teams, the member limit is at the moment 10,000 members in one team. And actually at Ignite, Microsoft announced that soon the amount of members in one team is up to 25,000. And I think a team for 25,000 people, that can be pretty complicated. I don't know if it's the best use case for that one. But actually, for organization-wide team, the maximum amount of members is 5,000 at the moment. And I don't know, there wasn't any information at Ignite if the 5,000 member limit in the organization-wide team will increase. So at the moment, 5,000 members in organization-wide team, and the other teams 10,000, soon 25,000. And the basic difference between organization-wide team and a normal team is that every single person in your organization will be automatically added to the organization-wide team. So that's why we also want to create our Intranet team as a organization-wide team. So we should click on this, but I already have our Intranet team, so let's go and take it out. Yes, discard, thank you. And here we have our Intranet team. And when I'm watching into this direction, I'm watching my demo screen, so that's why my head turns around all the time. And here you can see it's organization-wide team. And let's go through a couple of settings before we go to channels in our Intranet, actually. So when we click on the three dots, there will always be more alternatives, more options. And let's go to Manage Team. And here you can see team members will be automatically added and removed to reflect your AD. So if my organization will gain a new member, then he or she will be automatically part of our Intranet team, which is great. And in my demo organization in here, I have 5 people, we have 2 owners, and then we have a couple of members as well. We can, of course, control our channels in here at the same way we can control channels in every single team. But there are a couple of settings that are useful when we are thinking about the Intranet side of teams. So, of course, first of all, picture is everything. And it's important to have logo in your SharePoint Intranet as well. So it's important to have logo in your team's Intranet. And it also helps you to distinguish all the different teams you have in your teams. So here we have this cool eye logo for the Intranet. But when we're thinking about permissions, we maybe don't want to give that much permissions for our employee, because this is our Intranet. We have to have control over our Intranet. We have to have control over the content in our Intranet. So while I'm usually, I want everything to be open, and I want everyone to be able to do everything they want in Teams, in this case, into Intranet Teams, I would actually take away most of the member permissions. So I don't really want members to be able to create channels. No. I don't want members to be able to add applications or delete channels. That happens quite a lot. Accidentally, members will delete some channels. But maybe I want to, of course, give members an option to edit their messages. That's okay. Then mentions. This is another good setting you should think about, because if you are let's say maybe over 100 people, you are 500 people, you are even 1,000 people, you may not want to use the @team and @channel mentions in your team, because that's just a very not relevant spam for everyone. So you may want to take away the rights to mention the whole team or the whole channel. And we have alternative for this. I will come back to it soon. And then the last thing here in settings when we are thinking about Intranet is the fun stuff. Because we can utilize GIFs in Teams, and I like GIFs in Teams. I think they are a very easy way to engage people. People are using GIFs GIFs, for example, in WhatsApp every day. So they could utilize those in Teams Intranet as well. But maybe we want to restrict restrict the amount of what kind of chips can you use. So I would maybe recommend using the strict alternative for the Giphy option in here. Okay, I got two guest questions about the members of the organization-wide team. So can you invite external users, or organization-wide team, can you exclude consultants or external users? So actually, yes, only your real users will be added to the organization-wide team. So for example, system accounts or X accounts won't be added in here. So you have some restrictions. You can control who are part of the Intranet team and who are not. Okay. And then the last thing in the settings before we go deeper to the Intranet. So I mentioned that you maybe shouldn't use the @team or @channel tags, but instead in your Intranet you could and you should use person tags. And person tags are pretty new thing. They came this year, and I think not many people have heard from those. But the thing in here is that instead of mentioning the whole group, spamming the whole group, you can create, for example, projects. You can create teams, for example, HR team. You can create a group for supervisors, and then you can utilize those to mention a certain group of people. And the tag alternative is super convenient, but at the moment, this tag alternative is also totally manual. So there is no way we can get that information from AD. We have to tag every single person separately and manually. So if you are a large organization, it's quite a lot of work to tag every single person separately. Cool. Before we go to channels, there's a couple of questions more. So are there any additional licensing costs to consider when trying to adapt Teams as an Intranet? So if you have, for example, normal E3 license, which is the basic license for office users or knowledge workers, there is no additional cost. If you have some super small license, I think maybe F1 could be one. So then there might be some additional licensing costs. You may want to upgrade your licenses. But Teams is part of all the basic licensing solutions. So E3, E5, F3, etc. And another awesome question, with this semi-move away from SharePoint, what do you think Microsoft would take with this kind of solution? Surely their best interest remain in organizations using SharePoint. Excellent question. And actually, I think Teams as a platform, if you have heard of that one, I think Teams as a platform is a huge thing for Microsoft as well. And one thing in Teams as a platform is that we can utilize Teams as a hub for knowledge work, hub for teamwork, and also hub for Intranet. And I will show you soon that actually we are not getting rid of SharePoint completely. So SharePoint is still there. We still have very valid place and a very valid use case for SharePoint. But some parts of the Intranet, for example, news, discussion, to create more collaboration, more communication within the company, we are taking those from SharePoint to Teams. And after that, I think SharePoint and Teams are better together. Okay, cool. So first of all, as I mentioned, we of course have news in our Intranet. And basically, when we think about the channels in our Intranet team could be, why it doesn't open, could be the similar channels you have as sections in your intranet, or as you have as, for example, news metadata in your intranet. So we have channels for news, we have channels for offices, channels for support functions, HR, sales, channels for team management. And if this would work, we would have some more channels. Let's see what happens in here. It's not about the tune, so I don't know why it does that at the moment, but it's okay, I think. We are okay without it as well. So when we are talking about news, so news is the core of the internet. I think news and then our official documentation. And the common problem with SharePoint internet is that we don't have actually that much discussion around our news. And we don't maybe have some place to have a conversation, have discussions with each other. And of course, we have the tool. Now we have Teams. So we could think about moving our news from SharePoint to Teams. And we have a couple of different alternatives in here. So first of all, we have official news. We have official information. Those are the kind of news we want to give for every single person in the organization. We want all the employees to be certain they read those official news. And then we have, for example, news regarding some certain department, regarding some certain support function, or just some basic nice to know news. And in this case, this is not the only alternative. This is not the only right alternative, but I think this is a pretty convenient way. We have separated news in a few different places. So all the nice to know information is in the general channel. So basically the general channel in our internet Teams works as a chat for our company. So there is, for example, welcome posts. There might be some information, but it's nothing official. It's nothing you have to read every single day. This is more just a nice to know kind of information. And then we have the place for the official news. And this is the announcement channel, which is empty at the moment because we don't have any official news in our company for some reason. But to have that separate channel for the announcements, that's a good place to separate the important information for all the other random information you have in our company. And in this case, we just used the normal conversation. So we can just add a subject and write the news in here. If we want to make it important, we can also utilize the announcement function. Just to be sure that the announcement function actually gives notification to every single employee in your team. So especially if you are a large company, you may want to restrict the use of announcements in your intranet team. But if this isn't enough, if you want to have a bit more official look and feel in your news, you can always utilize the SharePoint news functionality. So even if you have your intranet in Teams, you still can write and do your news pieces in SharePoint and then utilize Power Automate to bring those SharePoint news into your Teams news feed. So that's one alternative as well. And it may differ from a company to company. For example, how hierarchical are you? How much do you have official information? How much do you have unofficial information? That what's the best possible solution for you? But I would say that for companies maybe under 200 employees, this solution that you have a general channel for nice to know information official news channel for announcements, and then you just utilize the normal Teams posts. So one post is one news. I think that's maybe the best or easiest solution you can start with, at least. It's also good to know that sometimes we maybe don't want people to discuss about our news. So if we have, for example, news about layoffs or something, for example, Christmas holidays are cancelled for some reason, so we can restrict that only certain people are allowed to answer to our news posts. And this is a good thing to remember, that if you don't want to have discussion around your news, it's always possible. Even if you use Teams, you can always restrict that only the moderators can reply. And moderators usually are the same thing than the owners in your Intranet team. And someone asked that how do you restrict who can add news and who can add announcements? Good point. But actually, I think everyone are allowed to add announcements if they want to. We can check if we go to Manage Team and we go to Settings, Member Permissions. Yeah, there is actually no permission related to who can add announcements. So it's mostly user adoption kind of thing. So you have to tell your employees what they are supposed to be doing and what they are not supposed to be doing. Okay, cool. We also had another question. So we use Intranet as the repository of our company policies. For example, travel policies, expenses policies. Yeah, awesome question. And I will come to that pretty soon. Okay. And then another question, why would you structure your Intranet in channels and not separate applications pinned on the left-hand side? And excellent question as well. And I will come back to it soon as well. So basically, the channels here in the Intranet are dependable on every organization. So different organizations have different policies. They have different, for example, different use cases for the Intranet. And this was the one that has worked for smaller organizations maybe. And then the bigger you are, the more you need actually the SharePoint behind Teams as well. Okay. Then we have the other channels, as I said. So for example, we can have channels for our offices. And here we have a channel for our Helsinki office. I think it's Wednesday, but today is Tuesday, sorry. And I think these office channels, they could be also channels for departments. They could be channels for maybe some large projects. They could be channels for some teams around some teams in your organization, topics in your organization. And I have found these pretty interesting and pretty relevant, especially in these remote times. Because when we are not seeing each other live every day, so it has been super easy to, for example, have a virtual coffee breaks in your office channel. And you don't need to send invitation to anyone. You can create a channel meeting in your office channel or in your department channel, and then everyone who wants can join to it. And this is a super easy way to be in contact, to feel belonging in your company. And then, of course, it's visible to everyone in the organization. So, for example, if I would be interested what they are doing in the Stockholm office, I could stop by and attend to the Stockholm office coffee break if I would want to. So this is, of course, no place for any secret conversation. This is a place for open conversation that the whole company can see. And actually, a good question in here was that my company has bilingual Intranet. SharePoint on-prem and one site per language. And how would you deal with that in Teams? So actually, one thing you could do is you can always try using the translate alternative in Teams. I know it doesn't work maybe pretty well with all languages, but actually for example, from English to Swedish, from English to Germany, it works pretty okay. So this is one thing you could try if you want to. So you can try how it seems, is it useful or not. Okay. Then we have channel for team management. And this is actually something pretty interesting, because at the moment, if we are thinking about companies, there might be huge gaps between the employees, end users, and the management. And maybe only place where employees can connect with management are some static news in the internet or some yearly quarter reviews, which are of course now remotely as well. So having this kind of management channel in Teams could be the first thing ever, could be the first place ever that you are allowing your normal employees to chat with the management. And you are able to give the management an option to ask things directly from the employees. And I would say this is no easy thing to do, because it requires very open company culture. It's maybe not for everyone, but if you want to try this, I've had super good examples from many companies who have utilized a management channel in Teams, or if they are a large company, a management group in Yammer, to create the connection and to create the collaboration communication between the top management and the employees. And it is also a great way to bring people to Teams and engage people into using Teams, because they have these kind of channels in here that offer total new things for them. And here actually, I'm going to show you a one cool trick, one cool thing. So this is a Microsoft Lists. And you maybe are used to using SharePoint lists in your SharePoint Intranet. But nowadays, when we have Microsoft Lists, we can also utilize those lists super easily in Teams as well. And it's super simple to do, super simple to try out. They also have some ready-made templates for lists. And for example, in here, we had this kind of a strategy conference for all the employees, and the management was planning the strategy conference here in Teams. And here, all the employees can see the agenda, see the speakers, session types, etc. And this is a super visual way to bring some list kind of information to your Teams Intranet as well. Cool. So many questions. I'm having trouble to keep up with everything, but I hope I'm able to answer most of your questions in the end at least. Okay. One question about managing documents and links. It's a great one, because I will get down to that in next. So of course, most content in our Intranet, besides the news, are static content. So we are talking about SharePoint pages, we are talking about documents, we are talking about different kind of forms and links, etc. And the post section, the conversation section in Teams, is suitable best for discussion, suitable best for news. But of course, we need a place for the static content as well. And we have a couple of different things we can utilize. First, if we are talking about static content in SharePoint, so SharePoint pages, we could utilize bringing the SharePoint page in our tabs in Teams. So for example, if we have an HR channel in Teams, we have the HR news in our Teams, then we can also embed our HR SharePoint page to Teams. And we could utilize, I could go and check vacations. I could utilize this as a linked list, as some of you asked. So I could bring important links as a SharePoint page and embed the page here in Teams. And the downside of this is that we actually don't have any navigation. This is just a page. I can read this, I can click on the links, but there is, for example, no certain way to get back to the original front page of my HR site in Teams, sorry, in SharePoint. But there is coming something new that was also announced at Ignite. So if we want to actually embed the whole SharePoint part of our intranet, so for example, the travel policies, safety policies, vacation policies, etc., that are not news, that are not discussion, we can soon add our SharePoint as an application to the left-hand rail. So this is a Microsoft blog, and as you can see, there will be soon, I hope really soon, an application for SharePoint in Teams. And then you can utilize the team in Teams for news, for discussion, for documents. And then for the static content and policies, then you can add the SharePoint application here in the left-hand rail. I think this is pretty cool. I really am looking forward to test this out when it's coming. I hope so. And I think this also answered to a couple of questions you had there in the chat. Awesome. So as for the static content, we still need SharePoint. Yes, we can't get rid of Teams completely, but we can embed pages in our team, or soon the whole SharePoint as an application to the left-hand rail. But what about documents? As we all know, if we are using the files section in Team, this will get pretty crowded pretty quickly. So this is basically a graveyard for your documents. Every single picture, every single document that will be uploaded here in the post section will be visible here in the files section. And I don't know, no one finds anything ever from the files section in Teams. So we have an alternative for this as well. We can, once again, utilize SharePoint. So when we have the SharePoint, our HR section in SharePoint, and we of course have the HR document library in SharePoint, we can bring that one as a tab in Teams. And here are downsides and upsides. So first of all, upside is of course that we can control the access rights of this library pretty easily. As we all know, every single file in this file section in Teams, every single member can edit those files, add new files, delete files, and that may be pretty difficult regarding of official documentation. But if we have the separate SharePoint folder and embed that as a tab in Teams, then we can control who are able to add new documents, who are able to delete documents and edit documents. But the downside is, of course, that then you have separate access rights. So you have to control who are able to see the file folder and who are able to edit the files in the folder. So then you have a bit more management, but also you have much more control. And someone asked, how about searching specific static content? And at the moment, the search in Teams is pretty limited, but also soon, and I really hope soon, terribly new search experience in Teams. So TM search will come to Teams as well, and then it will actually search in the whole Microsoft 365 environment. So it will not only search from Teams, but also from SharePoint, also from files, also in SharePoint. So all the content you have in your cloud environment. So at the moment, not so efficient in searching static content, but in the future, super efficient. Okay, cool. So we have gone through the news things. So we have the nice to know news, we have official news. We may have, for example, channels in Helsinki office, other offices, channels for support functions, such as HR, sales, and we have talked about the static content in SharePoint and the files in Teams and the files in SharePoint. A couple of things more I want to show you today. So we can also have, for example, I think this is important in nowadays because we are all remote. So this is a small thing. This may not be suitable maybe for your organization culture, but this has proven to be super popular amongst our clients and also in my own company. So we have this say hello channel where you can introduce yourself. And maybe you don't want to introduce yourself in work-related stuff, but you can introduce yourself, for example, what are your favorite movies, or what are your favorite food, etc. So this is a super efficient way to get to know each other when you are not able to see live every day. Cool. And then a couple of things more in the Intranet. So of course, in the SharePoint Intranet, we also usually have, for example, news feeds from other pages into Internet. So for example, feed from Twitter, feed from our company official website, RSS feeds, news feeds, feed from Instagram, pictures, and that we can also use do in Teams. And I'm not able to show it to you at the moment because for some reason this doesn't work. But what we have done in here is actually that you can create a channel in your Intranet, for example, social media feed channel, and then you can utilize your Power Automate in Teams to bring, for example, Twitter tweets with relevant hashtags, tweets with relevant mentions, or news from any, for example, RSS news feed into your Teams Intranet as well. And this is a great thing because, yet again, your employees don't have to go to separate places to search for information. They can just go to Teams and open social media feed channel and then see all the social media news in there in one place in Teams. And actually, in the research studies they have made, switching between applications takes a lot of time. And even if you think adding some Twitter feed in your Intranet and Teams may not be relevant, it can really be a thing that will save a couple of minutes for your workers' day, and they don't have to go to separate sites in the Intranet, and they will see all the relevant information about the company inside your Teams. Cool. And the last thing I want to share with you in my demo today is this well done channel. And this is also something super small with a large effect. So yet again, being remotely, not able maybe to see each other every day, Giving kudos, giving praise is a super simple thing to do, and it just makes people happy. And one thing with this is also that nowadays you can also add your own praise marks in Teams. So when you go to a new conversation, you can add praise. And there are some ready-made badges that Microsoft offers to you. But at the moment, you can also go to Admin Center and add your own badges. So for example, you can make some company-related praise badges and utilize those and give, for example, best meeting of the week badge to someone. So if you have, for example, you can utilize the same functionality if you have a team for your department, if you have a team for your own team. So just the culture of giving praise and saying that you did a good job. I think it costs nothing. You can do it very easily, very fast, but it makes people super happy. It makes people very, the employee experience is very great with this one. Cool. I hope you got some new insights and ideas about Intranet in Teams. Now let's get back to the presentation, and I will show a couple of things more regarding the actual customer project, because this demo was also based on the real project I made. So let's open the presentation again, and the demo is done. So let's get going. And these are actual numbers from the study we made after the initial Teams in Intranet project with the customer. And the thing is that I strongly believe that any technology, is it Teams, SharePoint, whatever, it's only an enabler to cultural change. So, for example, if you want to be agile, we cannot be agile as a company if we communicate via email. And I think we can't gain any competitive advantage if our documents are like here and there and most nowhere. But when we are able to gather all of our communication in one place, all of our files in one place, all of our forms in one place, inside one window, in Teams, I think that's when we are able to be modern. And that's when we are able to really gain some advantage, to get better information flow, to make people happier, to be more agile. And this is a quote from the project manager of the company. And I think it's super nice that they said that actually no one misses the old Intranet. And yes, they don't have the SharePoint anymore. They have only Teams, but no one misses it because they have gained the, they know that how much more efficient communication is in Teams, how much more open communication is in Teams. And for example, how can you talk directly with the managers in Teams, which wasn't at all possible previously. And in the end, when we get back to the original title of the presentation, so do's and don'ts of Intranet in Teams. So I think you should have an open mind. So do have an open mind and think about all the possibilities Teams has to offer. So it doesn't mean you have to get rid of SharePoint completely, but you can utilize Teams and SharePoint together. You can also utilize Power Automate, maybe even Power Apps, forms in Teams, and make the Teams as the hub for your teamwork. It isn't that easy. I know it will take time because it's most of a cultural change. It's not technological change maybe, but it takes time because you have to change people's attitudes. And a couple of don'ts. One thing with M365 and Teams is that we always are waiting for some new features. For example, at the moment, I'm waiting for the SharePoint home site application. I'm also waiting for breakout rooms in Teams. And in this project, we waited for the private channels, like everyone waited for the private channels. And if you wait, you may have to wait for a year or even 2 years. So just take those things you have at the moment in Teams, those features you can utilize ready now, and then plan your Teams Intranet roadmap based on those. And an excellent question, what is MAU? So monthly active users is the MAU trap. And at the moment, we did, if we are, okay, let's say a year ago, in December 2019, all the companies were about, we want to have our Teams monthly active usage in 90%. So we want to be, we want people to be active in Teams, so that 90% of our people are using Teams daily. And surprise, now at the moment, a year later, every company has 90% monthly active usage in Teams, because people are using Teams in meetings, people are using Teams for chatting. But it doesn't mean that people are really using Teams. So it doesn't mean people know how to use Teams properly. It doesn't mean people are gaining advantage of using Teams. So don't just see the numbers, but see the whole employee experience. Awesome. Just one last question from the chat. On a list or a document library, can you start a Power Automate flow from Teams? And excellent question. There are a couple of different things you can start directly from Teams. And I think there are already quite a many ready-made templates in Power Automate where you can, for example, utilize Teams document library as the starting point. So maybe you can go and check the ready-made templates at first. Cool. Our time is up. This has been a super awesome webinar for me, at least. I hope for you as well. And thanks for all the questions. If I didn't quite answer to some of the questions, I try to, for example, write answers to Twitter, or you can ask me directly from in Twitter or in LinkedIn. But I hope you enjoyed the presentation, you got some new ideas, new insights, and yeah, reach me out in Twitter or in LinkedIn if you have any more questions. Thanks.
Karoliina, thank you so much. On behalf of the ESPC community, thank you for taking the time today to complete this webinar. We really, really appreciate it. Brilliant. Thank you, Karoliina. Okay, everybody, this is the end of today's webinar. Thank you for joining us today. Please don't forget this is Teams Week, and check out sharepointeurope.com for full details of all upcoming webinars. Again, a big thank you to Karoliina for taking the time today to complete this webinar, and thank you for joining us. Take care and goodbye.